Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about call forwarding, and I'm going to be explaining how call forwarding works, how you can activate call forwarding or deactivate call forwarding or deactivate all your call forwardings. So first of all, to get to the call forwarding setting, you have to come to your dialer or your phone. Then you place on that and it's going to open our dialer. So in our dialer, basically you get the keypad, recent calls and contacts, but mainly we are interested in call forwarding. And to access call forwarding, you have to place on these three dots in the corner. So you place on those three dots in the corner. They are mainly in the top right corner or sometimes in the top left corner, but mainly in the top right corner. And if I may talk about call forwarding is where you divert your number to receive calls on a different number where you add. So for example, I can forward calls from my number to a different number, and I'm going to be showing you how it works. So for example, when someone gives me a call on my number, my phone will beep and the phone will go straight to the other number where I've forwarded my calls to. So I'll be able to receive my calls on the other number. So to access call forwarding, you place on the three dots in the corner and you go to call settings. So depending on the phone you use, you will receive these settings, you will receive these features, and depending on the phone you use, you go to supplementary services or other call settings, depending on the phone you use. Or sometimes you will find when call forwarding is in the menu, when you scroll down, when you're in call settings and you scroll down, you might find call forwarding somewhere like here or even amidst here. But if you can't see it, you just place on other settings, and when you place on other settings and you can't see it, you look for supplementary services. And when I place on supplementary services, as you see, I've been able to access call forwarding. Here it is. So this is call forwarding, and there are many different settings: call balling, show your call ID, call waiting, fixed dialing number. But we are mainly going to talk about call forwarding. So you place on call forwarding and it's going to bring you options: voice calls or video calls, and they all work the same way, either voice calls or video calls. But for now I'm going to use voice calls. Both of them, they have the same concept, so I'm going to use voice calls. And when you tap on voice calls, if your phone doesn't support video calls, it will just only bring voice calls, or it will take you direct to this page that I'm on right now, and it will take a minute to load as it loads each individual section. And now it's done. So if you see, I have different settings here: always forward, which is the first one, that one which says always forward, and the second option is the one which says forward when busy, and another option which says forward when unanswered and forward when unreachable. So I'm going to explain each one by one. When you put on always forward, that means whenever they call your number, your calls will be forwarded to the number you put in. So when I place on it, it asks me to put in a number. So if I put in a number, for example 07, or you add on a country code, maybe +1 +2, you put in a phone number and you just place on turn on. So the number you put here, it's where your calls will be forwarded to. So if someone calls you and you have always forward, your calls will always be forwarded to that number, and so that's how that works. And the second option, which says forward when busy, so whenever someone calls you, whenever someone calls you and you make your phone busy, your calls will be forwarded to the number you put in here. So when you place on it, it brings a place where to put your number, as it shows you when busy forward to, you just put in a phone number. When you place on this icon, it will take you to your contacts to choose a number where to forward to. So I can choose any number from this. I can choose any number and I will forward to that. For example, if I place here and maybe I place on this number, as you see it comes here, and I can forward my calls. I can always forward my calls to this number. And the third option, which says forward when unanswered. When someone calls you, this one, when someone calls you and you don't pick up, you don't answer the call, your call will be forwarded to the number you put here. So it's basically the same concept of forwarding calls. And the last one, forward when unreachable. Maybe if you're in an area which has no network, or your phone goes off, the battery dies, or anything happens to your phone and it can't access any network, your calls get forwarded. When a person calls, the call automatically gets forwarded to the number you put in here. And that's how call forwarding works. And to turn it off, you just come back to the settings. For example, if I put a random number here and I press turn on. So for example, let me select a random number. For example, no, not that. This. So I press turn on. This will activate as you see, always forward. So my calls are going to be forwarded to that number as I placed on that. So my calls are going to be forwarded to that number, and I placed on always forward. So if I want to turn this feature off, any of this, you just come and place on turn off, just like that. Place on turn off. So maybe if someone if someone forwarded your calls to a number, maybe they wanted to do something and you want to turn the call forwarding on, the call forwarding off, you just come and place on it, then you place on turn off, and it will turn off the call forwarding that was activated on your number. As you see, so even though this one was turned on, maybe this someone turned on this, you could just come and place on turn off. So when you turn off, all your call forwardings will be turned off, and none your calls won't forward to any number. So basically that's how call forwarding works. It's just forwarding your call to another number. That's the main concept of call forwarding, just forwarding your call to another number. And you might get when someone calls you and your call is forwarded, it beeps to notify you that you're receiving a call, but the call will go through to another number. So if you want to turn off call forwarding, deactivate call forwarding, you just come, place on any of this that is activated, you turn it off. Any of this that is turned on, you just turn it off. And that's how you're going to turn off your call forwarding. You turn off each section, don't leave any of them turned on if you don't need it. And if you need it, you can choose when to forward your calls. Maybe forward when busy, or forward when unreachable, or forward when unanswered. So you can choose any that favors you, and you set that you put in the number you want to forward to. It's very easy, just place on it and write in the number you want to forward to. For example, I want to forward to that, or any number you forward to your calls. Anyway guys, thanks for watching and see you next time.